10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 2, 9. Oh my goodness, I've counted this money at least 50 times. Every time it adds up to the same amount. $200,000. $200,000. How in the world did I get my hands on this kind of money? Real money, not play money, real money. $200,000. I've had the money for 3 weeks now. Like I said, I've counted it so many times. I just can't believe I've got it right here in my hands. Right here in my hands. In this bag. In this bag. A bag full of money. $200,000. A few weeks ago, I was out mowing my yard. Having a great time. Suddenly my lawnmower hit something in the ground. So I quit mowing. This thing that was sticking up, I grabbed hold of it, tried to pull it up out of the ground. It wouldn't come up. So I went to my garage, got my shovel, and dug up this bag. This bag. I said, well, what is this? Let me check this out. I opened it up, a plastic bag full of money. I almost fainted. A plastic bag full of money. Beautiful, beautiful green American dollars. Oh, I couldn't believe it. I just forgot about mowing the grass. I picked the bag and held it to my chest, ran into the house, and started counting the money. Oh, I got up to 50,000. I almost fainted. I got up to 100,000. I was quivering, shaking. 150,000. I said, oh my goodness. $200,000. 200,000 real American dollars. That's what was in this bag, a bag full of money. And I could tell that the money had been out in the backyard quite a while. I'm guessing maybe 10 years. Well, I only bought this house a few years ago. I have no idea who owned it before me. I bought it from a real estate company. But my goodness gracious, somebody buried a plastic bag full of money in the backyard on this property. $200,000. And like I said, I'm guessing it was buried about 10 years ago. A plastic bag full of money. I've been a nervous wreck ever since. I have not been able to decide what to do. My first thought was, go to the police. Take the money, go to the police and tell them you found it in your backyard while you were mowing grass. But then a little mind in the back of my head said, are you nuts? Are you crazy? You can't take this money to the police. If it's stolen money, they might think you had something to do with it. I said, oh, you're right. I'm talking to myself. I say, you're right. You can't take, you gotta be crazy, you gotta be nuts. You can't take the money to the police. I said, well, what else can I do? I said, what else can I do? I said, I'm going out of my mind. I'm sitting here with $200,000. I'm rich, but it's not my money. What in the world am I going to do? I said, I got to do something. I got to find out what to do. So I said, well, maybe I should call somebody. And then I said to him, are you crazy again? You can't call and let people know you got this. I said, oh, real, I'm right. Talking to myself all this, I'm right. I said, well, let me just stop and think. Here. I said, what would other people do if they had found this money in their backyards? And so I decided the sensible thing to do was, why not just go see some people and throw out a few hints and try to get some advice about what to do with this money. So I went to visit a lawyer friend of mine, and I said, hey, if you were to find something real valuable, what would you do with it? Well, naturally, I expected the guy to give me some real good, sensible advice. He says, how much value are we talking about? I said, oh, suppose you found something that was worth, thousands and thousands of dollars, 100,000, 150,000, I said, so what in the world? He says, why are you asking me a question like that? I said, oh, I don't know. I said, I'm just curious. I said, you lawyers interest me so much. I said, I'm just, they say that you lawyers are always after money, so everything you do is for money. I said, I was just wondering, what if you found something really valuable? Well, you being a lawyer and everything, I said, what would you do with it? And he said the dumbest thing as far as I was concerned. He says, well, first of all, I'd divorce my wife and then get me a real pretty young girl and retire and move to one of those beautiful islands, like out in the Pacific or someplace where I'd never be bothered by people again, and just spend the rest of my life with my beautiful young girl and enjoying the beach and the sun. And I said, that's what you would do? He said, yeah. I said, you wouldn't take, I said, suppose this valuable thing you found, I said, suppose it was, it belonged to somebody and they'd been looking for it for a long time. And I said, you wouldn't take it to the police or nothing? He said, hey, you asked me a question and I gave you my answer. I said, well, that's terrific. I said, okay, thanks. So that was a dumb advice my lawyer friend gave me. He would take the money and divorce his wife and get him a young beauty and go live out on some island somewhere. I said, oh, what a bunch of crock that is. And so I said, well, let me go ask some of my friends. So I asked a few of my friends. I said, hey, we're always talking about money, fellas. I said, what if you guys found something real valuable, or even found some money itself? I said, what would you do with it? And oh, good grief, they gave me some of the dumbest answers. One of my friends said, man, I'd buy enough liquor to get drunk the rest of my life. And another one said, oh man, I'd buy me 50 automobiles. And another one said, oh man, I'd take me 10 trips around the world. And another one said, oh, I'd open up a nightclub or a gambling joint. Just have myself, just dumb, just wasteful answer. I said, well, suppose this thing that you found, that was really valuable, I said, suppose, it belonged to somebody and they'd been looking for it for a long time. I said, wouldn't you feel like maybe going to the authorities, to the police and turning in this valuable thing you found and to see if they could find out who it really belonged? They said, oh, heck no, said finders, keepers, losers, weepers. I said, that's your attitude? They said, yes, that's our attitude. Finders, keepers, losers. They said, I wish I could find something valuable. Man, I'd have myself a good. So this was the terrific advice I got from all my friends. I said, oh, this isn't doing me any good at all. I said, this isn't doing me any good at all. But anyway, day after day, I'm sitting at home counting all this money, wondering what in the world am I going to do? Who does this money belong to? Who buried this money in the backyard? And so it struck me. I said, well, why don't you go to the newspapers and see if there were any bank robberies or other big robberies, say, 10 years ago. I said, yeah, that's a brilliant idea. So that's exactly what I did. I went out to the newspaper and I asked them real nice. I said, could I look through some of your old sections of the newspaper, say from 10 years ago? And the fellow said, well, what specifically are you looking for? I said, I'm curious about history, and I just wondered if there were any big robberies or anything, burglaries or anything like that in this city, say, 10, 8, 9 years ago. And I just wanted to look through the paper and see if anything like that had happened. And so the fellow said, well, if you're curious, and hey, I've got a little time, so I'll take you on back and show you our section and let you look. So the fellow was real nice. He took me back there, and I must have stayed there 2 hours looking through old newspapers from as far back as 10 years ago. And son of a gun, I saw a lot of robberies, but nothing that said $200,000. That's little penny ante robberies, 10,000, 7,000. $8,000 or $1,500 at a pizza joint, a fast food place, something like that. Nothing for $200,000. So I said, well, thanks a lot, sir, for letting me look through the old sections of the newspaper. Well, that made me feel a little bit better. I said, well, maybe the money is not stolen. I didn't see anything in the old newspapers about big robberies or anything. I said, why don't I go to the library? I said, there's an old lady there named Mrs. Stale. I said, she's a historian for this whole city. She knows everything that's going on in this city for the last 60 or 70 years. I said, I'll go talk to her at the library. So I went to the public library, and I said, could I see your historian, that lady, Mrs. Stale? And the lady said, well, yeah, she's right over there. So I went over to Mrs. Stale and introduced myself. And I said, Mrs. Stale, I'm interested in history. And I said, I know you know everything that has gone on in this city for the last 50, 60, 70 years. I said, have there been any major robberies or burglaries or anything like that in the last 50 or 60 or 70 years, you know? And she said, robberies and burglaries of that? I said, yeah. She said, well, I can't think of any big things. They're just always little I said, nothing for, say, like a big $50,000 robbery or a big $100,000 robbery. She said, oh, no, nothing like that. I said, are you sure? She says, of course I'm sure. Said, this town is too small. Said, the people wouldn't have that kind of money for people to rob, and the banks have never been robbed of that kind of money. I said, oh, so as far as you know, there haven't been any big robberies in this city of that nature in the last 50. She said, oh, no, said nothing like that. So how much? I said, oh, 100,000, 150,000, 200. She said, no, there's been nothing like that. I said, okay, well, thank you, Mrs. Stale. I really appreciate that. So I was feeling, quite a bit better. I said, so there's nothing in the old newspapers about any major robberies, and the old historian at the library, she doesn't know anything about any big major robberies in the city over the last 50, 60, 70 years, and definitely not the last 10. I said, you know what, maybe I should go to the real estate company where I bought the house and see who owned this property before I bought it and find out what kind of people they were. I said, maybe they were bank robbers or something that buried all this money in the backyard. So I went back to the real estate company where I bought my house, and I told them, I said, I'd like to know who owned the property that I own, who owned it before me. And so the lady was real nice. She went back and looked through her files, and she came back up to the counter, and she had this big folder, and she said, well, there were 4 different families that have owned that property in the last 70 years. 4 different families. And so I said, well, do you know anything about any of them? She said, well, like what, for instance? I said, well, I hate to be cruel. I said, but were any of those 4 families outlaws? And she says, huh? I said, were any of them outlaws? She said, why, no. Said, no, none of them were anything like that. Said, it was 4 of the finest families this city ever. I said, really? She said, yes, 4 of the finest families this city ever had used to own that property that you own. I said, oh, she said, all of them are gone now from this city. Said, they've all left this city. None of them are left. I said, oh, she said, why are you asking some question like that? Outlaw. I said, oh, I've just got a very active mind, and I'm just in. I said, I was just sitting around the other day thinking about my property and wondering who owned it before me. I said, they left it in such fine shape, and I'm just so proud to own it. I said, I just wanted to know who owned this property before me. I said, that's all. Nothing fair. She said, well, that's all I can tell you. 4 families used to own it before you owned it, and they were all wonderful. I said, oh, okay then. So that was, I said, the newspaper, the library historian, and now the real estate company, they're all telling me that there's been nothing funny going on my property these last 60, 70, 80 years, no robberies or anything for anybody to come up with this kind of money to bury in my backyard. I said, so I don't know where this money came from, but evidently it might be good money. I won't say it's legal money, but evidently it might not be stolen money. And since it was buried on my property, I said, well, maybe I should keep it. I said, maybe it's really my money now. Oh, it just makes me so nervous. $200,000. $200,000. I said, if I keep this money, what in the world will I do with it? What in the world will I do with it if I keep it? And so I've been thinking. I said, well, you know, maybe I'll just take it easy for a while. I don't want to do anything stupid real quick here. So I've had thoughts about giving it to, you know, some of it to a charity. And then the more I think about that, I said, well, as poor as I am, I'm a charity myself. I need all the help I can get. I said, so I really can't afford to be giving this money to any charity. I said, I need all the things that this money could buy myself. I don't mean to be cruel or anything like that. I said, but I'm a needy case myself. So I ruled out the charity angle. And I said, well, what would I wanna buy? And I said, well, you know, I could fix up the house. The house could use some fixing up. That would be a nice thing to do with this money. And naturally, a new car, because the car that I've got now, it only costs $500. It needs new tires. It needs new lights. Well, it just, well, it's a piece of junk is what it is. So then I could use a new car. That's what I could get with some of this money. So I could fix up the house. I could get myself a new car. I could get some new clothes. Oh, my goodness gracious. I could just really get myself just all kind of nice, valuable suits, you know. And maybe then I could afford to take Marilyn out. See, Marilyn is this real gorgeous lady that I've been trying to talk to for almost a year, and I know she's looking for a man with money. So, ooh, now that I would have this money, I could buy myself some nice clothes and nice shoes, and I could talk to Marilyn. Ooh, the lady, like I said, she's so good. She really gets to me. She really turns me on. Marilyn, oh, just an exquisite lady. Now, with all this money, now, naturally, I wouldn't go spending a whole lot of it, but I could get myself all kind of fine things, and then I could afford to associate with me. I bet Marilyn would go out with me then. I wouldn't tell her that I had this much money, but if I flashed a few big bills in her face, I think Marilyn would change her mind about going out with me. I think she would suddenly fall in love with me, and that would be nice. I would never tell her that I have all this money, but I would make it clear to her that I could afford to take care of her if she should suddenly decide that she wanted to be in love with me. So that would be something good. So I could get the house fixed up. I could get myself a new car. I could probably get Marilyn. And one other thing. Oh, yes. I'd have to do something nice for all the people that have done nice things for me. And doggone it, I would have to start with Versita. Versita is a lady that I work with. Oh, this lady has been so good to me for so many years. I remember one time when my car broke down and it was in the shop and I couldn't get it out for 3 weeks. Versita came by and picked me up and took me to work every morning. She came 5 miles out of her way just to pick me up. That's how nice she... Oh, I would do something real nice for Versita. I'd buy her a new car. That's what I do. And if she still owed any payments on her house, I'd pay off her house. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what I do. I do something nice for and my paper boy. Oh, he's been real good at getting my paper to me, and I appreciate that because reading the paper is one of the comforts in my life. I love to do that, and I noticed that the paper boy, I saw that he was kind of poor. I could tell he didn't really have a lot, and I understand that he comes from a big family, and he's out working trying to get money to help his mom and dad. So that's something else I would do. I would give my paper boy a few dollars, And I got quite a few cousins that I would like to help because they've been real nice to me. Oh, yes, indeed. I have to help some of my cousins. Some of them need new cars, and I guess they could use help paying off their homes and stuff like that. And yeah, that's another thing I could do. Ooh, I tell you, yeah, I could do stuff like that. And a trip. I could take a trip. I wouldn't mind going to California and spending some days out in California, looking at some of the sights, and going to Texas. You know, I wouldn't mind going to Texas and looking at some of the sights in Texas. And Canada. Never been to Canada. I wouldn't mind going to Canada and France. Ooh, now that would be a nice trip to make. And England and Germany and Japan. Oh, yeah. Now, those would be some nice things to do. And especially if Marilyn would go with me. Oh, good grief. I can just see Marilyn and me on a boat. Yeah, we wouldn't fly. No, flying, I'd get there too quick. If I'm going to take Marilyn with me, I'd want to make the trip last as long as possible. So I'd take a boat. That way it'd take a long time to get there, and I'd get to spend a lot of time with Marilyn on the water. Oh, that sounds so romantic. Yeah, I'd take Marilyn to France and England and Germany with me. Oh, yes, indeed. So, I think well, yes, I think I should keep this money now. Like I said, I've been everywhere trying to find out if it's stolen money or anything like that. And like I said, I just can't find any record of the money being stolen. And whoever buried it in my backyard, like I said, I can tell the money has been out there a long time. I'd have to say this money has been out there at least 10 years or more. And whoever buried it, surely they should have come back and got it by now if they were able to. Now, if somebody had stolen this money, maybe they got caught and was sent to prison for life. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame if whoever got this money, if it's stolen money and whoever took it, if they got caught and was sent to prison for life and they'll never be back to get the... Oh, that's a real shame. Oh, my heart just bleeds for them. But meanwhile, I think I'll spend some of this money while my heart is bleeding. That's exactly what I'll do. Oh, yeah. Oh, like I said, I counted it so many times. I counted it so many times, I just can't. Let me interrupt. I never in my life dreamed I'd hold $200,000 just feeling it and playing with it and touching it. I can't believe it. And like I said, apparently from my end, it's all legal money. I didn't steal it. I found it in my backyard. I dug the money up in my backyard, and I don't find any record of it being stolen money. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep this money. Oh, I'm going to keep this money. I'm going to keep, let me count it again. Oh, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000. Ooh. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 200,000. Oh, let me cover it up here, and I got to protect it. I gotta protect it. That's something else. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to keep it. I guess I'd better take it to the bank. Oh, I'm gonna hate to see it go, but that's the safest thing to do. That's the safest thing to do. I better take it to the bank. I better take it to the bank. 200,000. Oh, it feels so lovely. It feels so lovely. Oh, what a gift! What a gift! Oh my goodness! Oh my! Whoever got this money and buried it in my backyard, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for burying this money in my backyard. Wherever you are, whoever you are, thank you.